Welcome back, guys. Today I want to talk about my most asked question probably since March, which is going to be regarding my lap putter. So this is the model that I'm using. You can see it's DF3, it's center shafted, and there is you can see there, if it focuses, 2-degree forward press on this. So it's naturally forward pressed to 2 degrees because of the grip. So I think it's important for me to start off by saying this is not a paid review. This is not a sponsored post in any way. I'm simply making this video because a lot of you guys have been wanting to know what is my honest opinion. And I also didn't think that it's fair to make a video about my opinion of a putter if I've only been using it for a little bit. So now that I've been using it for, I would say, close to half a year. I don't know when I first actually bought it. I can't remember. Maybe it was like in April or something. So it's probably about half a year I've been using it in normal practice, in tournaments. So I think now I can actually give you guys a pretty honest review about my opinion of the lap putter. So like I said, first off, let's just start with why I even got a lap putter. So originally I had no intention to actually get a new putter. I went to see a guy to get putter fitted because I was struggling with my putting and I felt like the putter just wasn't comfortable in my hands. So I wanted to check what would be a perfect setup for me. So that means measuring my perfect lie angle, measuring my length of my putter, and what would work best for me and what would help me putt easier. So when he measured my lie angle, what he told me was that my perfect lie angle is at 69 degrees. And just coincidentally, he had this lap putter that was at 69 degrees in his shop. So he literally just asked me to try it just to feel the lie angle. It had nothing to do with the putter at all. But then once I picked it up, I was like, wait, why is this kind of nice? So obviously I've heard about lap putters. I think at that point in time it was already a thing, but I don't think it was as big as it is now. I mean, I'm talking about it like it was only like 6 months ago, but I honestly think recently I've seen so many more people with lap putters, especially since they released this DF3, because even for me, I feel like this design is so much more friendly, not only to the player's feel, but also to their eyes. So yeah, it's definitely much more comfortable and easier to adapt to than the other models, in my opinion. So I think that's why I've seen a huge increase in lap putters. But then, like I said, I've like heard about it, but I've never used one, never felt what it felt like. So I was like, nah, that's not for me. But then once I tried this putter, I was like, wait, I actually really like the feel of it. So as you can see there, you're still gonna miss putts. I hit the right tee there, so that means I had a little bit of a push with that stroke. It's not, I think the most important thing for people to acknowledge is it's not a magic wand. Like, you're not going to pick up this putter and suddenly start making everything if you do not have a putting stroke. Like, you can't just pick up a putter and just expect it to do all the work for you. You still have to be the person putting. And I think that's important to acknowledge. It's like, this is a tournament legal putter. So that means that obviously it has to comply by certain standards that people are able to use this in professional tournaments. So what that means is essentially it is a putter. So you still need to putt. A putter needs a putterer. So it's not going to do the work for you. It's just going to make your work a little bit easier. So like I was saying, the initial intention was never to buy a new putter. But I felt very comfortable with this putter and I was struggling with my putting. Like, I was missing cuts by one stroke very often and I was having multiple 3 putts in a round. So, I mean, obviously there's always things that I can improve in all aspects of my game. But if a player, especially playing at the standard that I'm playing, which is professional golf, is having a lot of 3 putts doing around, obviously that is the easiest way to save strokes. So I was like, you know what, time for a different feel. And like I said, this is not a sponsored post. This putter was paid for in full, not even with a pro discount rate. It was just paid for because I felt like I needed a new feel, and that's sometimes what you need with putting. because I think I even mentioned this before. Some of you guys mentioned like previously, why do I keep changing my putters? And honestly, it's just that like I literally spend so many hours a day. Can you imagine just staring at your putter for 4 hours a day, like for 6 days a week, for a whole year? You will eventually get bored of the face, get bored of the feel, and sometimes you just need a different feel, especially when it's not working for you. So yeah, I just felt like I wanted a different feel, and that's why I switched to this putter. It wasn't because of anything that I've heard online. Of course, I've heard of the reviews online as well, but like in my opinion, if something doesn't look and feel good to a player, it doesn't matter what the review is, it's still going to be very difficult to adapt to it. So for me, a big comparison is that I've tried other lap putters as well. So for me, switching from a Scotty Cameron, you would probably like a DF3 because it's much firmer off the face. Whereas if you're someone who likes playing Odysseys, which are much softer off the face, I would say you would prefer the other models such as the Mez. So that's why I didn't like the older models. I felt like they were very soft off the face. And I like something with a little bit of a firmer feel like a Scotty Cameron, so that's why I liked this DF3's feel. And like I said, it just felt comfortable, it looked okay to my eye, and I felt like it was something that I could use. So that's why I decided to change to a lap putter. So now let's talk about my impressions and my review of a lap putter. Do I think it will save you strokes? Potentially, yes. The whole concept behind it is a lap putter stands for a lie angle balanced putter, so it is meant to keep your club face square. So why I say potentially is because if you have a stroke where you are pushing the ball, let's say at 2 degrees every single time, you're still gonna have a push stroke. However, maybe you're gonna push it at 1 degree instead of 2, and maybe that 1 degree can make the ball catch the edge versus slip out. I don't know how it's going to affect your stroke personally because everybody has a different putting stroke, but I do believe that having a technology that helps keep your putter face square is definitely beneficial because if you think about it in a driver perspective. It's like why TaylorMade came up with twist face, or how the technology is always trying to increase the sweet spot for golfers so that it's easier for them to hit the sweet spot. I believe this is like a similar concept for putting. So you're trying to make it easier for players to keep the club face square so that they hit more square putts, which is obviously what we want. Because if you hit a square putt, all you have to do is make sure you get the right line and it's going to go in the hole. And the right speed, of course. But so I do believe that the concept there is definitely going to be beneficial for most golfers. If anything, I don't see it being a disbenefit, So it's not going to hurt you, but is it going to like truly change your game? That depends on your level of play and also on your putting stroke. But I do believe that the easiest way to cut your score is to putt better because obviously it's a smaller stroke and it's easier to control 12 feet than 250 yards. So do I think that it would benefit a lot of people? Most likely you will gain at least a stroke, which, if you're playing professional golf, that's a huge gain. But again, if that was a bad putt, but if let's say 50% of the field uses a lap putter, you're not going to gain a stroke on 50% of the field because they're all also using a lap putter. So I don't know if you kind of understand what I mean here. Do I think it's beneficial for a golfer? Yes. But do I think it's going to like change your life depending on your level of play? It could. I mean, it could be the difference of you winning your next club championship. I don't know. But don't expect it to be a magic wand, which I think is what a lot of people are expecting it to be. So, my opinion, it is definitely, as somebody who's playing golf at the highest level, I would say that it has definitely helped me. But if I were to pick a point or a part of my game that I would like to improve, it is still my putting, because like I said, it is not a magic wand, you know. Most of my putting things that I'm not happy with is also stroke wise, so I'm not expecting this putter to be, able to make every putt even if I hit a bad stroke. And that's why I'm out here at 12 o'clock in the afternoon practicing my putting. But, you know, do I think it has helped me? Yes, I think it has. And a big part of it as well is putting is a lot of confidence. So the more putts you hold, the more it feels solid off the face and you're able to feel that solid square contact of the face. I do feel like it would benefit any golfer. The one bad thing that I would say is when I first started using this, I actually found it, I think because of the technology of how it's trying to keep the face square, I actually found it more difficult to feel when I would, well, my tendency is actually a push, so I felt it more difficult to be able to identify when I push the putt versus like with a regular putter where you can really feel the face turn. It was a little bit harder to identify with this putter, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But for me, because I'm someone that goes based off feedback and I'm able to then work on something, like if I'm pushing my putts, I need to know that I'm pushing it so that I can work on that. So that was a bit of a difference for me because I wasn't able to identify it as easily as with another putter. So that took a bit of adjusting too, but now I'm definitely able to have a better understanding of when I'm hitting a good putt, making solid contact, versus when I'm missing it a little bit. And that also helps me identify why I might miss a putt. You're not always going to have to hit good solid putts to make a putt, but you need to know when you miss it, is it because you hit a bad stroke? Was it the wrong line? Or was it just, you hit something along the way? So I think that's super important, especially if I want to play like at the level that I'm playing at. It's all the little nuances. And I do believe that if you have something that's going to help you make things easier, such as a technology that helps keep the face of a putter square, why not? So yeah, that is my 2 cents about it. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave them down below. I feel like I've addressed most of the things. My overall experience of it has been positive. And yeah, so I have nothing really bad to say about it. The only thing I'm going to say is, again, I'm going to reiterate that it's not a magic wand. You still need to be out here practicing your putting. If you are lazy, you're still going to have a bad putting stroke. You're still not going to have good putting stats, and you're still going to miss a lot of putts. So, yep. Truth hurts.